The moving truck pulled away from what used to be our house, and I watched from my car across the street. Adam wasn't there, hadn't been for 3 months, but I could feel his absence in every empty window. I'd texted him that I was finally moving out, hoping for... I don't know what I was hoping for. He didn't respond. 5 months of careful planning, destroyed by some creep with a camera. That's how I see it anyway. Everyone else seems to think I'm the bad guy here. Let me back up. My name is Mary, and back then, I thought I had everything under control. My husband of 20 years who worked nights, giving me freedom during the day. A beautiful house in Ames that I decorated myself. Looking back now from my cramped apartment, it seems like a different lifetime. But at the time, I had a standing hair appointment every Tuesday, and Derek, who made me feel alive in ways Adam hadn't in years. Adam worked graveyard shifts at the airport, de-icing planes or whatever. He'd drag himself home at 6 in the morning, shower, eat something, then pass out until it was time to go back. We were like ships passing in the night, except one ship was tired and grumpy all the time, and the other ship was dying of boredom. I met Derek at the bank where I'd gone to refinance our mortgage. Adam had put me in charge of all the finances because he trusted me completely. He just handed over his paycheck every 2 weeks, asking for $20 cash for lunch money and leaving the rest to me. I managed the mortgage, the car payments, the utilities. I liked the control, moving numbers around on a screen, watching the savings grow until I started quietly spending it on myself. That's actually how this whole mess started. Derek was the manager who handled my application. He had this way of really listening when I talked, not like Adam who'd grunt responses while staring at his phone. "Your husband's lucky to have someone so organized," Derek had said, reviewing our accounts. "He doesn't see it that way," I'd replied, and that was all it took. One comment about my unappreciative husband, and Derek's whole demeanor shifted. Suddenly our meeting went from 20 minutes to an hour. He asked about my life, my interests, what I did with my time. "I mostly just take care of the house," I'd told him. "Adam sleeps all day, works all night. I could redecorate the entire place and he wouldn't notice for weeks." Derek laughed at that, a real laugh, not the polite chuckle you give clients. When he walked me out, his hand touched my lower back for just a second. Professional, but not quite. I thought about that touch for days. We married right out of high school, back when we thought exhaustion meant we'd stayed up too late watching movies, not working 70-hour weeks to keep the lights on. When Adam came home exhausted and went straight to bed without asking about my day. When he forgot our anniversary because he'd picked up an extra shift. When I tried to tell him about the new restaurant downtown and he said he was too tired to care about food he'd never eat. Derek called a week later. "Just following up on your refinance," he said. But we both knew that wasn't why. We talked for an hour. About books, movies, places we wanted to travel. Things Adam never wanted to discuss because what's the point of talking about trips we can't afford? The first lunch was innocent enough. Derek suggested we meet to go over some paperwork I could have easily handled online. I wore my red dress, the one Adam bought me 3 years ago and never noticed me wearing since. Derek noticed. "You look beautiful," he said. And I felt beautiful. When was the last time Adam had said that? When was the last time he'd even really looked at me? We went to this little place outside Ames, far enough that we wouldn't run into anyone. Not that we were doing anything wrong, just lunch, just talking. Just his hand covering mine when I complained about feeling invisible in my own marriage. "You deserve someone who sees you," Derek said. And God, I wanted to be seen. The lunches became a regular thing. Tuesdays, when I told Adam I was helping my friend Lisa with various projects. Lisa lived in Chicago now, but Adam didn't know that. He never asked for details anyway. Too tired, always too tired. Part of me couldn't believe he never once asked to call Lisa. But then again, he didn't ask about anything anymore. I started putting effort into my appearance again. New clothes, getting my nails done, actually styling my hair instead of throwing it in a ponytail. Adam didn't notice, but Derek did. Derek noticed everything. "Is that a new perfume?" he'd ask, leaning closer than necessary. "Do you like it?" "I love it." 3 months in, Derek suggested we stop pretending these were business lunches. "I have feelings for you, Mary, real feelings, and I think you feel the same." I did. Or I thought I did. When you're starving for attention, anyone who feeds you feels like salvation. Our first real date was at a hotel downtown. I told Adam I was helping Lisa paint her kitchen. He barely looked up from his pre-work meal. "Have fun," he said, like I was going to the grocery store. Derek had reserved a room. "Just to talk privately," he said, but we both knew better. I felt guilty for about 5 seconds, then Derek kissed me and the guilt evaporated. This was what I'd been missing. Passion, desire, someone who couldn't wait to be with me. The hotel became our Tuesday routine. Sometimes we'd meet for quick lunches on Wednesdays, too. I got creative with my excuses. Lisa needed help with taxes. Lisa was going through a divorce. Lisa was redecorating. Adam never questioned any of it. Part of me wished he would. Part of me wanted him to care enough to be suspicious. But he didn't. He just kept working his nights, sleeping his days, living his half-life while I lived a double one. Derek made me feel 25 again instead of 38. He'd send flowers to my gym with little notes. Take me to restaurants Adam considered too fancy. Buy me jewelry Adam would think was wasteful. He appreciated me in ways Adam had forgotten how to. "Leave him," Derek would say after our Tuesday afternoons. "We could be together for real." "It's complicated," I'd reply, but really I liked having both. The stability of Adam and the excitement of Derek. Why should I have to choose? 5 months into the affair, I got sloppy, or maybe I wanted to get caught. I started coming home later, caring less about my excuses making sense. I'd leave my phone out, hoping Adam would see Derek's messages. But he never looked, never asked, never seemed to notice that his wife was becoming a stranger. The night everything fell apart started like any other. Adam left for work, I texted Derek, and 20 minutes later I was in his blue sedan. I didn't see Adam's car parked down the street. Didn't notice we were being followed. Didn't realize my carefully constructed world was about to collapse. Derek dropped me off at the hotel while he parked. I went straight to our usual room, 212, already anticipating the evening ahead. I'd usually get there first. I'd spray my perfume on the pillows, the expensive stuff Derek liked, and order a bottle of wine on the room service tab. It made me feel like a movie star, not a housewife from Iowa hiding from her husband. We had our routine down perfectly, or so I thought. The next few weeks continued normally. Adam seemed more tired than usual, but I figured he was picking up extra shifts again. He had this annoying habit of working himself to death for overtime pay we didn't really need. I suggested he cut back, but he just shrugged and said he liked staying busy. I should have noticed the way he looked at me sometimes. These quick glances when he thought I wasn't paying attention. The way he'd pause before responding when I told him my plans. But I was too wrapped up in my own world to see the signs. Derek was talking more seriously about our future. He'd started looking at condos we could move into together. "Just browsing," he'd say, showing me listings on his phone. They were nice places, newer than our house, with updated kitchens and master bathrooms that didn't have Adam's beard trimmings in the sink. "What would I tell Adam?" I asked one Tuesday, wrapped in hotel sheets. "The truth, that you haven't been happy, that you found someone who appreciates you." But I couldn't imagine that conversation. Couldn't picture Adam's face when I told him. It was easier to keep living the lie. Easier to have my cake and eat it too, as my mother would say. Though she'd probably slap me if she knew what kind of cake I was eating. The Saturday it all came crashing down started beautifully. Adam was up early for once, making breakfast. Real breakfast, not just cereal or toast. Eggs, bacon, even those hash browns I liked from the fancy grocery store. "What's the occasion?" I asked, pouring coffee. Can't a man make breakfast for his wife? He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. We ate in relative silence. I was thinking about Derek, about our plans to meet Monday for lunch. Adam seemed lost in thought too. I figured he was calculating overtime pay or thinking about whatever men think about. Then I saw the envelope on the table. "We need to talk," Adam said, and my stomach dropped. My first thought was that he'd found out about the credit cards. I'd opened 2 new ones to buy things Derek suggested without Adam seeing the charges. Stupid, but I'd figured I'd pay them off before he noticed. "What's that?" I asked, trying to sound casual. "Why don't you tell me about Tuesday night? About helping Lisa with her kitchen renovation?" My brain scrambled. Which Tuesday? What had I said? I started to respond with my practiced excuse when he pulled out a photo. Me and Derek. Entering the hotel. Time-stamped and everything. The quality was terrifying. You could read the brand of my purse. You could see the smile on my face. A smile I hadn't given Adam in years. There was even a shot of Derek's hand on my lower back, the gold watch I'd convinced Adam we couldn't afford glinting on Derek's wrist. "That's not... I can explain..." But he had more photos. So many more. Us at lunch, holding hands. Derek kissing me in the parking lot. Me getting into his car. Professional quality, like something from a movie. 6 weeks, Adam said quietly. "I hired a private investigator 6 weeks ago." My mind reeled. 6 weeks of surveillance. 6 weeks of being watched. 6 weeks of thinking I was so clever when really I was the fool. "How long, Mary?" There was no point lying anymore. 5 months? He nodded like he'd expected that answer. Then he slid another envelope across the table. Divorce papers. "Already? You already went to a lawyer?" "Last week. It's all there. 50-50 split. You can have the house if you buy out my half, otherwise we sell. I'm not trying to screw you over, Mary. I just want this done." I stared at the papers. This wasn't how it was supposed to happen. He was supposed to fight for me. Beg me to choose him. Promise to change, to pay attention, to be better. Instead, he was just... done. "Don't you want to know why?" I asked. "Does it matter?" "I was lonely, Adam. You were never here, and when you were too tired to notice me. When's the last time you told me I looked nice? When's the last time we went somewhere together?" He looked at me. Really looked. And I saw something I wasn't ready for. Pity. "I work nights, so we can afford this house you wanted. I pick up extra shifts so you can stay home like you asked. I'm tired because I'm working 70 hours a week. For us. For you. I didn't ask you to kill yourself working." "You asked for a lot of things, Mary. The house, the car, the freedom to not work. I gave you all of it. And this is what you did with it." I wanted to argue, to make him understand. But what could I say? That I deserved more? That his love wasn't enough if it came with exhaustion? That I needed someone who could wine and dine me on a Tuesday afternoon? "What about counseling?" I tried. "With who? You and me? Or you, me, and Derek?" Hearing Derek's name from Adam's mouth made me flinch. Of course he knew who it was. 6 weeks of surveillance. "I'm not the bad guy here," I said, knowing how weak it sounded. "I never said you were. But I'm not the fool you think I am either." Adam left that night, taking just a suitcase and his work clothes. He moved in with his brother across town. I called Derek immediately, sobbing into the phone about how Adam had ambushed me, how he'd been spying on me, how unfair it all was. "This is good," Derek said. "Now we can be together openly." But something in his voice was different, less eager, less passionate, more practical. "Can I come over?" I asked. "Better not, my kids are here this weekend." Kids. In 5 months, he'd mentioned kids maybe twice. Ex-wife, sure. But kids were an afterthought, a complication for later. Now they were a reason I couldn't come cry on his shoulder. The divorce moved fast. Adam didn't fight about anything. He took his name off the house, the cars, the credit cards. His lawyer sent paperwork. I signed it. We divided belongings through text messages. 20 years reduced to logistics. I kept waiting for him to break, to call me crying, to beg for another chance. Instead, I heard through mutual friends that he was doing fine, working less overtime, joined a gym, started looking healthier, happier even. Derek and I tried to make it work. Dinners at the places he'd promised, weekend trips when his kids were with their mom. But without the secrecy, without the danger, it felt different. He was just a middle-aged bank manager with a receding hairline and kids who hated me on sight. "You're different," he said one night over pasta I'd overcooked. My life exploded. Sorry if I'm not as fun. That's not what I meant. But it was. I wasn't the bored housewife looking for excitement anymore. I was a divorced woman with bills I couldn't pay and a house I couldn't afford. The mystery was gone. The thrill was dead. Derek ended it on a Tuesday, appropriately enough. "I think we rushed into this," he said. Like 5 months of hotel rooms was rushing. "Maybe we rushed this. Maybe we need some space, a break, from the man I'd destroyed my marriage for." I sold the house 3 months later, couldn't afford it on the alimony Adam paid, and Derek certainly wasn't helping. Moved into a 2-bedroom apartment on the wrong side of Ames, got a job at a dental office, answering phones and scheduling appointments. Adam, I heard, started dating someone from his gym, a nurse who worked days and appreciated his schedule. They took weekend trips to places I'd always wanted to go, posted pictures on social media of them laughing, hiking, being disgustingly happy. I ran into them once at the grocery store. Adam introduced me politely, like I was an old acquaintance instead of the woman he'd loved for 20 years. She was pretty. Younger than me, but not insultingly so. She touched his arm when she talked, and he looked at her the way he used to look at me. Before the night shifts, before the exhaustion, before I decided I deserved better. "You look good," I told him, because he did. Lost weight, new clothes, actual light in his eyes. "Thanks, you too." But I didn't. I looked exactly like what I was. A woman approaching 40 who'd thrown away a good man for hotel afternoons with someone who didn't want me once he could have me. They invited me to their wedding last year. I didn't go. Sent a card with a generic message and a $50 gift card. His brother texted me pictures, though. Adam in a suit that fit better than the one from our wedding. His bride in a simple dress, not the elaborate princess gown I'd insisted on. They looked happy. Genuinely, boringly, beautifully happy. I still see Derek sometimes, around town at the bank when I can't avoid it. He nods, I nod. Professional courtesy between people who destroyed a life together. He's dating someone new now. Another client, probably. Another bored wife, maybe. I hope she's smarter than I was. People ask if I regret it. The affair, the divorce, the choices. I tell them no, because what else can I say? That I destroyed a good man's faith in love for Tuesday afternoons? That I traded 20 years for 5 months? That I had everything and threw it away because I was too selfish to see it? Adam works regular shifts now, or at least that's what his brother told me during the one pity phone call he answers a year. No more overtime, no more exhaustion. He takes his new wife on dates every week, tells her she's beautiful, notices her new clothes. All the things I said I wanted he gives to her, because she appreciates them, because she appreciates him. And me? I go to work, come home to my apartment, heat up dinner for one. Sometimes I catch myself driving past our old house where another couple lives now, wonder if she complains about his long hours, if he notices her new perfume, if they know that the master bathroom tile is crooked because Adam installed it himself to save money, if they appreciate what they have before it's too late. The private investigator's photos are long gone, but I still see them sometimes when I close my eyes. Evidence of my selfishness, captured in high definition. Proof that I had a man who worked himself to exhaustion for me and I repaid him with betrayal. They say karma's a bitch. They're right. But sometimes karma just holds up a mirror and lets you see exactly who you've become. And sometimes what you see is a woman sitting alone in a 2-bedroom apartment, scrolling through pictures of her ex-husband's happiness, finally understanding the price of Tuesday afternoons. But hey, at least I'm not bored anymore. Hard to be bored when you're drowning in regret, working full-time for the first time in 15 years, and sleeping alone in a bed that's too big for one person, but all you can afford. I wanted excitement, and I got it. Just not the kind I'd imagined when Derek first touched my hand over mortgage paperwork. Funny how that works out. You think you deserve more, so you take more and end up with less than you ever imagined possible. Adam used to say I was never satisfied and I'd roll my eyes. Now I'd give anything to be satisfied with what I had. To go back to being bored in a beautiful house with a man who loved me, even when he was too tired to show it the way I wanted. But that's not how life works. You don't get do-overs. You get consequences. And mine is this apartment, this job, this life I chose when I decided Tuesday afternoons mattered more than 20 years. The private investigator did his job perfectly. 6 weeks of documentation that ended my marriage and set Adam free to find someone who deserved him. In a way, I should thank him. He showed Adam the truth, and the truth set him free. Free to be happy, free to be loved properly, free to give someone else everything I couldn't appreciate until it was gone. So that's my story. The villain's side, I guess. Though I didn't feel like a villain at the time. I felt like a woman who deserved passion and got tired of waiting for it. Now I know the truth. I wasn't waiting for passion. I was too blind to see it in the man who came home exhausted every morning because he was building a life for us. Adam's probably getting home from a normal shift right now, crawling into bed next to someone who's grateful he's there. Someone who knows that love isn't always flowers and hotel rooms. Sometimes it's overtime shifts and mortgage payments and being too tired to talk but showing up anyway. I had that once, and I traded it for Tuesday afternoons that meant nothing once the hotel room door closed for the last time. They say you don't know what you have until it's gone. They're wrong, you know. You just don't care until someone else is enjoying it. And that's the real kicker, isn't it? Adam's happier without me. Genuinely, obviously happier. While I'm here, writing the story, still trying to convince myself I'm not the villain, when everyone, including me, knows the truth. The private investigator didn't ruin my life. He just documented how I ruined it myself.